My name is Evelyn Cushing. I am a licensed psilocybin facilitator. I have 25 years of experience helping people navigate the psychedelic space. And I also have about 7 years of experience guiding people out in nature, doing kayaking, glacier guiding, and trail guiding. I specialize in giving people transformative experiences and helping people connect back with nature and become more of their authentic selves. My experience with nature is that I grew up in Southeast Alaska, and I grew up literally 50 feet from old growth forest that has never been logged, that stretches all the way to Canada. And so that was my playground growing up. I didn't really experience the same sort of separation from nature that I think maybe the typical American sort of thinks about. Honestly, it always seemed funny to me that there seems to be this separation between society and nature when we are a part of nature, we are a part of the globe, we are a part of the environment. The environment influences us and we influence the life. You know, we are not separate from nature. We are a part of it. We create it. It creates us. We can't breathe without trees. You know, this whole concept of there being a separation between society and nature is something that's very new, and it's something that's kind of unnatural for how we are as animals. I've been a psychedelic facilitator in some form or other since I was about 15. I'm 40 now, so that's about 25 years. But it has been a very evolving protocol. And I've been in this medical safe space. My interest in psychedelics began when I was about 15. It's when I tried mushrooms for the first time, and immediately I was like, oh my God, you guys, you have to try this. And so I got a little bit of a reputation for just being the person that people would go to do mushrooms with for the first time and keep them safe and entertained. And you know, then throughout the years I learned a lot more about how to actually create a sacred space with that, access spirituality, and eventually deal with more mental health issues. I definitely really appreciate the organ training programs and how they've helped me specialize and sort of reform my own protocols into a little bit more of the benefits of a facilitated psilocybin experience are quite a lot. You know, first of all, for people who have never done it before, to do it in a safe environment with people who actually can talk you through the process and keep you regulated. It's extremely unsafe to mess around with substances that you have never used before that can cause a really altered state. With a licensed facilitator, you have someone who is incredibly experienced not only using this substance ourselves, usually, but also handling a lot of people who have never used this substance before. You know, the preparation conversations we have are invaluable. You know, just knowing exactly what you're getting into in the process, how to handle the challenges that come up, what the challenges are, and getting a lot of tools to move through them can make a world of difference in how to navigate the psychedelic space. A lot of people define what we're going through right now as a mental health crisis. Personally, I actually feel like it's a crisis of society. I think society, the one that we as generally Western Americans are born into, is a creator of this mental health crisis in a bunch of different factors. But essentially we are living in a society that doesn't support human beings in the natural state of humanness. And a lot of the work we do is trying to get as close back to our natural states as possible while still maintaining some form of existing in this society. I mean, there is a whole gamut of mental health issues where psilocybin can be really beneficial. You know, addiction, alcoholism, OCD, depression, anxiety. You know, it's really all of them. The only ones that are, you know, not specifically for this the best are forms of psychosis and bipolar. But, you know, most of the root cause of a lot of these mental health issues is really just not being able to feel safe being your authentic self in this society and maneuvering around this society. And part of the work that we do with people is to really try to validate their authentic selves and get to a place where they can feel safe just being themselves again. And a lot of that is really the root issue of depression, of anxiety, of OCD, of addiction. You know, it's that real root of treating the trauma, the underlying cause of all of these surface mental health diagnoses. A lot of the risks associated with psilocybin use are a little bit overblown to be. There's not a physical risk. It's not a toxic manic episode. I do feel like, you know, the Reagan years and the history of, you know, that whole scare of psychedelics really freaked people out as far as thinking that they could do mushrooms and then end up being schizophrenic for the rest of their lives. But evidence is, it has been scientifically proven that people experience more benefits of a psilocybin experience if they incorporate nature into their preparation and their integration process. So directly after a psilocybin experience, you have this wonderful neuroplasticity where your brain has made all of these new connections and you have an opportunity to really sort of rewire your routines and your habits. And incorporating nature into that experience directly after makes it much more likely that you are going to feel that connection with nature, and also to incorporate going out into nature and experiencing those benefits as more of part of your routine. One of my clients in her mushroom journey, this is a person with treatment-resistant depression, experienced, how did she put it, all of the love and nurturing that she never got from her own mother, given to her by Mother Earth in the mushroom experience from the spirit of the mushroom, if you will. And that nurturing from the actual earth, from the environment, was everything that she actually needed and didn't want. The process of a psilocybin journey starts with a consultation call, usually done over Zoom, but sometimes in person, where, you know, I would basically just ask you questions about yourself, your intentions going into it, what you're looking to get out of it, and if this is really the right treatment for you, for where you're at in life at this current moment. Then after we've kind of decided that it is right for you, then we set up a date when you would come in and do the thing, you know, sit in the center for usually give or take about 6 to 8 hours. And then after we've decided what time is good for you, then we do a preparation call, which is also usually done either in person the day before the journey, or it can be done over Zoom if you're distant and that's easy for you. And that is a very long conversation about everything that you're going into it with, all of your intentions, and giving you all of the tools to navigate the psychedelic space, where we completely prepare you for what you're going to encounter and how you can get through it. We do preparation, which is a very long conversation, sometimes a series of a couple conversations, but usually about 3 hours or so of telling you all of the challenges that might come to you in a psilocybin experience, how to navigate those challenges, giving you tools to get through it, and also just preparing you for what the experience is going to be like. So nothing is completely a surprise, even though no amount of preparation can completely prepare someone for it, but we do our best. After your journey experience, we do an integration session, or more if you would like. And that is basically just unpacking your experience. You know, you tell me or your facilitator everything that you went through after you've had a chance to come back to reality and fully unpack it on your own, maybe journal, think about it, and then recall everything that happened to you during that experience. And then we kind of just talk about it and dissect it and make a plan for how to use the lessons that were given to you in that journey to apply to your life. About 6 to 8 hours. And then after we've decided what time is good for you, then we do a preparation call, which is also usually done either in person the day before the journey, or it can be done over Zoom if you're distant and that's easy for you. And that is a very long conversation about everything that you're going into it with, all of your intentions, and giving you all of the tools to navigate the psychedelic space, where we completely prepare you for what you're going to encounter and how you can get through it. We do preparation, which is a very long conversation, sometimes a series of a couple conversations, but usually about 3 hours or so of telling you all of the challenges that might come to you in a psilocybin experience, how to navigate those challenges, giving you tools to get through it, and also just preparing you for what the experience is going to be like. So nothing is completely a surprise, even though no amount of preparation can completely prepare someone for it, but we do our best. After your journey experience, we do an integration session, or more if you would like. And that is basically just unpacking your experience. You know, you tell me or your facilitator everything that you went through after you've had a chance to come back to reality and fully unpack it on your own, maybe journal, think about it, and then recall everything that happened to you during that experience. And then we kind of just talk about it and dissect it and make a plan for how to use the lessons that were given to you in that journey to apply to your life going forward. I've had people who were severely depressed and now feel like, 500 pounds has been lifted off of their shoulders and have just completely transformed their lives. I mean, nothing is a guarantee. There's definitely people who, are like, okay, that's a good experience, but they don't really, change their lives that much. But, this does give you a chance to really use that time after a psilocybin experience well. And I think the one guarantee is that everyone comes out of this experience with a greater sense of self-knowledge. So I want to combat a little bit of the narrative that psilocybin is just for people with mental health disorders or experiencing something that, puts them in some kind of state of crisis. I feel like almost everyone can benefit very deeply from this kind of treatment. Everyone can experience a deeper level of spiritual fulfillment, of self-validation, of really knowing themselves. You know, almost everyone, you know, has some low level of anxiety, depression, you know, feelings of lost, listlessness. And, you know, these medicines were things that, in my personal belief, and there's a lot of history to back it up, we've been using since probably the beginning of becoming humans. And I think it actually really helps us find a deeper sense of ourselves and to just be more of who you are and more satisfied being who you are. And that's true for everyone. It's literally the oldest thing. There is plenty of historical anthropological evidence to support the fact that people have been using these medicines since pre-society, the beginning of before history. And we've been using them to treat ourselves, to treat trauma, to become more human. You know, I believe that these medicines evolved with us, and then we've kind of broken from them. And I don't think that it is a coincidence that we are in this state of societal and mental health crisis, being so far removed from the earth, from plant medicines. And what we're doing now seems innovative, but it's really just getting back to a time that we have long since forgotten about. So there are benefits to having individual experiences, but there are also really amazing benefits to having a group experience. You know, first of all, you are surrounded by other people who are in this really deep, authentic, vulnerable space that gives you a safe place to really access these deeper conversations that we just don't have in regular society, and everyone's going through the same thing and everyone's supporting each other. And then during the actual journey experience, you can really feel the support from the other individuals who are also going through it. It's really amazing to kind of watch the combination of energies and the support that people have in these group experiences that you just don't really get during an individual experience. The other thing that we have in our society is what's being called kind of an epidemic of loneliness. And experiencing this in a group immediately gives you a support system that we're lacking in other places in our lives. You know, sometimes having a psilocybin experience on your own and then going back to society can actually be a little bit isolating. You know, you have your facilitator to talk to, but sometimes you're going back to a community of people who just can't relate to your experience. And one of the really great things about having these group experiences is that you kind of have an embedded little group of friends that you've made who can actually support you and went through your experience with you, and you can stay in contact and actually keep in touch and have these deep, authentic conversations with people who experience. You know, I think the other narrative about this type of treatment is that it's going to be really challenging and everything's going to be super difficult and it's scary. And I feel like incorporating nature and just having this really pleasurable, fun environment reminds people that sometimes what they're repressing in life is actually just the enjoyment, the pleasure, the soaking in of all of the really good things. And this type of treatment does not always have to be really dark and deep and exploring your shadows. I mean, it is,
but it's also all the good things. The pleasure, the soaking in of all of the really good things. And this type of treatment does not always have to be really dark and deep and exploring your shadows. I mean, it is, but it's also all the good things too. I think the best tools that I give people for how to navigate a situation is a really long conversation that probably needs to happen in person, but it is going over all of my experience with psilocybin and how to navigate all of those challenges, and really giving you a whole list of tools to navigate that space. I help you go over meditation techniques, breathing exercises, a lot of different mental tools for just perspective shifts on how to get through the experience. And then I am there with you the whole time. And you can use me at any moment. I do have some sound healing techniques. I can help you, talk you through meditation and breathing techniques in the moment. And really just having a helpful ear to be with you in those moments of really intense, challenging emotions, just to remind you that everything is temporary. You are gonna get through everything. It's safe, it's not toxic, you're gonna be fine. And just having that person there with you to remind you in the moment is sometimes all you need.